Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I am Mariel Martinez, Mariel Martinez. My pronouns are she, ella. I am program director here at Nonprofit Leadership Center. Welcome to our 2023 webinar series. Today, our conversation revolves around simple strategies to attract hundreds of new donors each month, with Chris Barlow of Beeline Inc. I'll share a little bit with you about Chris and Beeline. Beeline specializes in helping nonprofits grow their mission and donor base through digital marketing. As founder and customer happiness director, Chris Barlow is grateful to help nonprofits use digital marketing to multiply the reach of their mission and the growth of their donors. Most of all, he's grateful to be the dad to 7 kids and to try to teach them how to live in a way that multiplies good in others. Our moderator today is my esteemed colleague, Karina Kletter, who is program associate with us at NLC. And Karina, take it away.
Thank you, Marielle. So I'm just going to go over some of the rules of the road, the logistics of participating in this Zoom webinar. To minimize background noise and distractions, all lines will be muted for the duration of the webinar. The session is being recorded and will be available on our website in the next few days. We will also share the slide deck when we post the recording. You may have noticed that we have live captions enabled, which is a Zoom accessibility feature. If you find them distracting, or if you would like to see them but don't see them yet, you can enable or disable them by going to the bottom of your Zoom screen and clicking on the icon that says CC Live Transcript. Once you click that, click the button that says Disable Auto Transcription or Enable Auto Transcription. We warmly welcome your questions. Please type them in the chat box as they come up for you, and we'll take 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the presentation for Chris to answer as many as we're able to get to. If you haven't found the chat box yet, go to the settings at the bottom of your Zoom screen and click on chat. And if you haven't already, please share the name of your organization in the chat box. We're so delighted to have Chris Barlow with us today and look forward to a great informative webinar. On to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Karina. Let me get my slideshow pulled up here. Just give me one moment. And thank you for being here with me today. I value your time and appreciate the fact that you've carved out this time to be here today. I'm going to definitely leave some time open for questions at the end. And I'm excited to share some strategies that we've seen work very well to attract dozens to hundreds of new donors every month. And I want to start with a question. And the answer is going to be different for every organization. There's no right or wrong answer here. And it's also a big question, so it might be hard to answer. So just answer the first thing that comes to mind. And that question is, why is it hard for us to consistently find new donors and reach new people? What is it hard about that for you? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat or your thoughts. Why is it hard? Brand awareness, distractions, limited people, lots of organizations. Yeah, yep. Making time, email fatigue, saturated market, follow-up. This is great. Competitive market. And I want to share just one of these. And there's lots of reasons, right? But one in particular is a mindset that we have. And that's, if you build it, they will come. Meaning, if we have a really good program, if we fulfill our mission well, we have great stories, and we have an awesome website, then donors will come to us. And while those things are really important and will result in new donors, the mindset itself doesn't actually help us reach new people, because people don't come to us unless we are intentionally working on building a bridge to them. This is a little clip from the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you seeing it. It's a great movie. So we already know instinctively how to do this in social situations. If you're at a conference and you see someone you want to meet, maybe someone from another nonprofit that you really like, or a director that you've learned from, or like what they're doing, or a consultant or a company who's shared a lot of valuable information for your organization, and you want to go talk to them. Well, you go talk to them. You don't stand there and just cross your fingers, smile, brush off your suit and hope that they see you and come talk to you. Like, we know that's not a very good odds of them just noticing us and talking to us. You go to them and you ask them their name, you ask them about themselves, you introduce yourself. And we know, again, we know how to do this in a real life situation, but somehow in the online world, we think it's somehow going to be different. And so the key to starting a relationship with new people is for you to think about them and to meet them where they are. And so when it comes to attracting new donors, if we can help them in some way, the best way to help them and meet them where they are is to seek to serve them in some small way by using your expertise as an organization. And in so doing, give them a taste of how you fulfill your mission. And I'm going to start breaking this down today, but I want to first look at the nonprofit world because the for-profit world, because the for-profit world has been doing this for a long time, for years. And I feel like nonprofits are only now starting to catch on. And there's, of course, some exceptions who've been doing it for a long time. But let me give some examples here. So Tiffany, the famous jewelry company, if you're on their website and you see something you like, you can drop a hint to someone. You can say, dear, input their information and yours, and then they send a little email that says, dear Jim, a little hint that this caught Jill's eye. Love, your friends at Tiffany. And so you're meeting at Tiffany's meeting a very small need of the people on their site. They're not trying to get them to like buy a product because they're offering them coupon code. They're just letting someone drop a little hint, a fun little way to share an idea of, hey, this is a gift I might like. And now Tiffany gets the email address of the sender, of the recipient, and they know the products they're interested in. So it's just a great way to start building an audience without going straight for a sale. Similarly, a company called Glowforge, they sell 3D laser printers, and they offer a quiz to help people find the right product. So instead of just saying, hey, here's all our products and we have the sale going on, they're saying, what are your interests? What do you want to do? What are you trying to build? Why do you want this? And help us customize what you're looking for based on what you are needing, right? So, okay, these are examples where someone clearly has some kind of interest in these companies or their products. They're already on the website, doing some research. But what about if your audience isn't even really thinking about your products right now at all? Well, let me give some examples again in the for-profit world. We have, let's say I'm a dog owner and I am going online and I'm wanting to figure out what the best nutrition is for my dog, what a good diet would be. And I do some searches and I find this ebook that's offered by a company, Keto Natural Pet Foods. And look, I'm not looking to buy any kind of pet food right now. I'm just wanting to research this question, this problem that I have, or this issue that I want some more information about. And I find this ebook, which is based on 4 years of research, 100 interviews, and more than 400 scientific studies. I'm like, wow, this sounds like very authoritative. And the issues that are coming in the pet food industry and how to avoid them and how to extend my dog's lifespan. Okay, this sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. This is what could help me. And so I download this ebook, and now Keto Natural can start building a relationship with me. Or Salesforce, I'm a sales manager, and I'm wanting to help my sales team have more insight and more effectiveness with customer engagement. And so I download Salesforce's white paper. It looks like they've been releasing this several years in a row on how to be more effective in engaging customers. I'm not looking for a CRM right now. I'm not wanting to buy anything related to Salesforce. I've got a problem, and Salesforce is trying to help me, and they're serving me in some way. And by doing that, I subscribe to them, and they now have an opportunity to continue building that relationship. And Dropbox, another example. I don't need to go into that. You get the idea. All of these examples are basically saying this: if you want to attract new people, build a bridge to them. So find a way to serve their needs. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, getting new email addresses is one thing, but do people actually read their emails? Is email effective for getting new donors? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Okay, sorry, you didn't ask that. I set myself up, but it still might be a real objection that we have. And I want to look at this because the stats are telling. Research from litmus.com cites that across all industries, for every dollar spent, email brings a return of $40. So it's the marketing channel with the highest ROI across for-profit and nonprofit. Next, after research seems to show us that email is the most effective fundraising channel, even including in-person events. So to me, this data suggests that the most effective digital marketing, digital fundraising starts by getting new email subscribers. And interestingly, at the same time, other stats from GetResponse show that your email, your new subscribers are your most engaged segment. The average number is 86% open rate from new subscribers, 25% click rate, so that when people click on something in your emails, and a 0.08% spam rate. So it's way better than any other segment of your subscriber list. So email marketing is effective, right? As a fundraising channel. We have to learn how to be effective, but it works. But a concern I know I've had and thought about, and maybe you share, is doesn't it take a long time to take someone who's just a subscriber, they were getting some information they were looking for, and then turn them into a donor who's like on board with our mission and understands it and wants to support it? Well, again, let's look back in the real world for a minute. We all know stories. We've heard stories about people who they meet for the first time and they go on a date a few days later, and within a few weeks later, they're engaged suddenly, and now within a few months they're married, and it seems like it went really fast. And that's actually the story of my in-laws. They've been married now over 40 years, so I know this kind of thing happens. But usually we think it takes years for people to get to know each other well enough to feel ready to make that kind of commitment. But the fact is, the amount of time that people take getting to know one another before committing is not a meaningful measure of how successful their relationship will be. And we unfortunately think the same way when it comes to finding new donors. We think it's going to take weeks, or at least weeks, maybe months of relationship building before they'll respond to donating, especially if they didn't come to us like in the first place knowing who we were and wanting to support us and knowing what our mission was, if they came for their own needs. But what if that's wrong? What if the question isn't how long does it take to build this relationship with new people, but what if the question is instead, what are the natural steps that every relationship needs to follow to go to a deeper level? And how can we do that without skipping any of those steps with a lot of people at scale through marketing? And so if we can, the important key here is not skipping any steps. If people meet for the first time and they one of the partners says, let's get married that same day, I mean, they're skipping some steps. That's awkward. That's weird. So your subscriber comes to your website for the first time. They don't know who you are. And the first thing they're hit with is, hey, donate to us. Well, who are you? And why, I'm not here. I didn't come to your site in the first place to donate to you if I'm new and I have no familiarity with your organization. So what are the steps before that? How can we start taking those first steps? And I want to summarize this approach in a sentence, and then we'll look at what those steps could look like for your organization. And that summary is this: if you serve people, they'll be attracted to you. So make it part of your mission to serve your donors too. So I've been saying that if you serve people, they'll be attracted to you. But the part here that I want to emphasize is, if we're finding it hard to figure out why or how we can take the time to serve our donors, it's because we need to remember that serving our donors is actually a part of our mission, because what we're doing is, one, we're doing them good because we're giving them a chance to become generous or be more generous, and generosity is good for all of us. But it's also getting people who want to partner with you and vote with their time, with their money, and say, your mission is worth fulfilling. We want to see this happen in the world. This is a good thing. And that isn't to say that if you're a nonprofit and you have a worthy mission, it might be worthy whether you have people who agree with you in that. You might be, alone in that. But really, in general, we want to bring people around us to say we're accomplishing this together because it's worth doing. So that's why serving your donors in a way that helps you attract new ones and meets their needs and helps them grow closer to your mission can be part of your mission. So let's look at these steps that you can follow to begin building a relationship with lots of new people, dozens to hundreds of new people on a monthly basis. And the first step I call validate and create. So in order to effectively serve and attract people, we need to answer some questions. And that's the first one is, what is our expertise? How is our organization uniquely situated to solve problems? What knowledge and skills and experience do we have, especially with regards to how we fulfill our mission? And then on the other hand is, what are our donors' needs? Who are they? What is their demographics, their interests? Where do they go online? And what are their biggest problems or questions that might be related to our expertise? And that shows us our area of opportunity. So where does our expertise meet with potential donors' needs? And again, we're not talking about some kind of huge program we're creating here. I'm going to get into what this looks like in a minute, but we're going to try to come up with a digital resource that meets their needs, that answers a question. So some like those examples I showed from the for-profit space. So before we create anything, though, we want to do a little bit of market research. We want to make sure that what we create is actually something people are looking for and that our potential donors want. And so we can go to Google or we can go to social media or YouTube and do some searches based on the topics that we might be able to address and see how many results come up. And if there's a lot of results coming up, that means there's a lot of supply, if you will, a lot of people responding by providing resources or answers or blog posts or any kind of content relating to those questions. And that means there's probably an equal amount of demand. If you do a search on these topics and you get no results, well, there's probably not a lot of people out looking for that. So that's a good way to just kind of eliminate that topic or find a good topic. Another way you could do this is to use what you see here, the Google Keyword Planner. It's a free tool. You can get access to it at ads.google.com. You don't need to input any payment, credit card information. And you do need to make sure that when if you're creating a new account, you create it as like expert mode, not smart mode. And then you can go into tools and settings in the keyword planner. You can see those two steps there. And inside that tool, you can input keyword ideas. And Google will not only give you the estimated number of monthly searches happening with those keywords, but it also give you suggested similar keywords and their search volume as well. And so this tool is just a great way to get some quantitative data and see, well, how much demand is there? How many people are looking for information on this particular topic? And you can use that to kind of eliminate or highlight some resources or some themes or some topics that you could create a resource around. The second thing you could do is you could get some qualitative data and ask your current subscribers, your current donors to share their opinion. Say, we're thinking about creating a resource along one of these topics. Which would be the most valuable to you? This is a real survey result from a client of ours. They are a food bank. We were thinking about what would serve our potential donors. We could create a recipe book. We could create a guide to Shabbat for the modern family. We could create a guide to Passover. And you can see based on the survey results, our audience said a recipe book around the holidays would be awesome. That would be the thing that has the most demand. So once you've done that quantitative research, you can get an idea. Okay, if we created a resource of some kind, and I'm going to go into details about what that can look like in just a minute, there's going to be a lot of people who want this, and this will help meet our donors' needs in a small way. So let me give some examples. I used to give some more theoretical examples, and I thought it would be, and I gave a lot more examples of what this could look like for your organization to help you get your brainstorming started. But I want to give some examples of real clients that we're working with, just so you can see it's real. So we work with an organization called Bright Spot Network, and they help families who have a parent who's undergoing cancer treatment or just finished undergoing it, who have small children. And they have a customizable coloring book, as you can see here. It's a PDF where you can download it. You can upload photos. You can change the names in it. There's some customizable fields to fill in. You print it out. Your child can color it. And then it allows the parent to talk to their children or child about the surgery or the treatment they're undergoing and the recovery, and just have those important conversations in a way that the child can understand, that's gentle and just helps the parent know how to approach that topic. And it's a coloring book. So it's also a fun activity for a parent who probably doesn't have the energy to do a lot of activities with their child. And that little book probably has about 150 people who download it on a monthly basis. Here's another example of just a new org that we started working with. So I don't actually have the data on how many people are downloading it yet, but they help school districts and educators bring change to the climate and culture of their schools by engaging students and giving them more ownership. And they're offering a free online course, entirely free online course, just for giving an email and first name. And so people, educators, people, parent volunteers, administration, they can get this really free, helpful resource, and it serves their needs right away. And then the up can start to build a relationship with them through email. Another organization, they're a nonprofit incubator, and they help nonprofit founders who are just getting in the process of starting, or directors who are maybe 3 years in, 5 years in, figure out what is the next step for us to take. What is our biggest need right now? And so they can take this assessment, and then they can get recommended resources, free resources. And this assessment quiz probably brings in about 200 new subscribers for this nonprofit every month. And then, as I mentioned before, the Jewish Food Bank that I referenced, they have this digital recipe book that they offer to people who are out there looking for Jewish specific holiday recipes, specific Jewish recipes, Israeli recipes, doesn't really matter. The recipe book, the recipes are sourced from top Jewish chefs that have a following, that they're on Food Network and other things like that. And this recipe book probably adds about 75 to 150 new subscribers per month. And they're a food bank. They only serve a specific market, but they know who their audience is. And I have more examples. You can go to our website, and I'm going to give this link again at the end of the webinar, but you can go to our website now, yourbeeline.com. And on our homepage, you can download the ebook right there. And I have over 20 examples in 7 nonprofit sectors. So you can get some more ideas for what your organization could create. The idea here is we're going to create one piece of content, one thing, and you can use it over and over and over again. And you don't have to do a lot of work over and over and over again to get it working. It can work very consistently. These organizations I've shown you, they haven't had to create any new content to attract people, to get them to subscribe over and over. It's just this one thing that's generating these monthly results. So once you've kind of done some of that market research and gotten an idea of what you could create, you need to pick the format. And these are very broad categories here: petition, ebook, online course. I'm going to briefly talk about why I'm highlighting all 3. So if you want to create a petition, in theory, a petition is probably very quick and easy to create, because you're essentially just creating a single page, describes the issue and describes why someone should sign it. You're getting email addresses, helping them see, like, if they sign it, they could make an impact. Well, there's not a lot in it for the person signing it. They're not answering a question of theirs. You're not solving a problem in the immediate term. Like, they might care about your cause if they sign it, but they're not going to see an immediate response of some kind where change is made or that you're solving a problem for them. So for that reason, it's easy to make, but the opt-in rate is low. It's less than 1%. If you could create an ebook. Now, when I say ebook, it could be a digital guide. It could be an ebook. It could be a white paper. It could be an email series that breaks down a topic into a series of emails over a few days. But an ebook, it's harder to make. It takes more time. It may take you a couple of weeks to put one together. But the a number of people who then decide to subscribe is much higher. It's about 5 times higher, maybe 10 times higher than a petition. And this data I'm getting is from Next After. So you can look that up on their website too, if desired. But essentially, more work, higher opt-in rate. And then, of course, you could go to the other end of the spectrum. You create an online course. Now, that's going to take months to create, or maybe weeks if you're working really hard at it. It does have the highest opt-in rate. So again, just to kind of share a little bit about what kind of formats this could take, I personally really like an ebook, email series, a quiz, because it doesn't take as much work for you to create. And really the goal here is to do something that your team can do with your limited time. And once you've chosen your format, you can start outlining the problem or the questions that people have, and then the answers or solutions. And anything you learned during that market research phase, you can include as topics. Maybe like you had different ideas for your survey of things you could create, and maybe you combine some of those into one piece of one resource. So before you go creating anything though, a question to ask is, can you repurpose content from another expert? So think about companies who have subject matter expertise in a related area of your organization. So maybe I'm a nonprofit animal sanctuary and I want to create a guide for pet owners. And maybe Keto Naturals would allow me to use some blog posts of theirs about pet nutrition in this resource that I'm creating. And I'd give them full credit. I would link to their website, but I wouldn't have to create this stuff from scratch. Just like with this Jewish food bank's recipe book, we didn't just pick any recipes from online. We went to celebrity chefs, influencers, and said, hey, can you donate 2 of these recipes from your website? They were already on the website. They didn't have to do anything but say yes, because we could get the recipe directly from the website and we could get the pictures directly from the website, high quality photos. And it was a really easy way for these potential partners to just say yes and help us out. And it cost them nothing. And we said we're going to not only link to you, we're going to create a little profile page in the recipe book of each of the chefs and link to your Instagram and give you some attention there too. So this is a great way. I have a whole nother topic on attracting corporate partners, and I go into this more in detail. But essentially, this is a great way to both save your team time and open the door to a partnership with a company. Or maybe you could build a relationship with another nonprofit and say, hey, can we borrow some of your content for this? We'll give you full credit. So save yourself time. You don't have to create everything from scratch. You can curate content. So that's step 1, is to validate and create. Once you've created your resource, you need to offer it. You need to make it a way for people to be able to get it. So I offer and thank people. And basically, the first thing you need to do there is to create a page on your site that's dedicated to this resource. You don't want it to be something small that gets easily missed. You want to distract people with other options. You have a specific page on your website that says, we understand here your issue is, or your questions. Here's a resource that'll help you. So in this example here, this was an organization that helps put together groups of students and takes them to a travel experience abroad. These are students from poor neighborhoods who grew up in a very different socioeconomic position, where they would probably never be able to travel like this. And it's about helping them develop as leaders, expand their horizons, grow as individuals, work as a team. And so they know that their audience are people who probably love to travel because they see the value of these travel experiences and being in a new culture, being in a new place, having your perceptions challenged, your worldview challenged. And so and as a team of founders and volunteers who know the value of travel themselves and have a lot of experience in that, they said, look, we can create a little ebook to help people who love to travel and take away some of the frustrations that come with that. So you can see this landing page. Like, people who love to travel, they want a life-changing travel experience, but they don't know when to book to save money. They need some ideas. They need some ideas, or maybe they want to know how to best practices for packing when you're going on an international trip. What should I do with carry-on? All those kinds of questions. The stress that comes from planning and traveling. So the goal of this page is to connect with their problem, help someone see why they should stay on the page and how the resource will help them. So that's what your landing page needs to do. It doesn't have to be super fancy. It just needs to it can be even focused, like it can put a lot of text in there. A lot of studies have shown, a lot of experiments have shown that what's important is the value proposition, and that can be all done in a text format. Just show someone you understand the issue and how you can help them. And after someone fills in the form to download your resource, you want to thank them. And so you send them to a page that lets them know, hey, this resource is on its way. So you want to thank them, let them know they don't have to do anything more, but this is where most thank you pages end. And There's a lot of good reasons to use a thank you page. I mean, it makes your conversion tracking easier for your marketing. So you have this unique page where anyone who goes to this page, the only way they can get there is if they filled out that form. Now you can track, okay, that was a conversion. You want to affirm people, make them feel good for making that decision and trusting you with your email address. But this is also an opportunity to help people take the next step with your organization, to give them a call to action. So the first thing you need to let them know is, hey, your recipe book is on its way. You don't have to do anything more. Okay, you can stop here. However, before you go start planning your next travel experience, there's a few things we'd like you to know, and you can transition them into this call to action. So first you want to let them know, well, this quiz, this ebook, whatever it might be you're offering is made free because of people who believe and support our mission, and our organization is supported by donors. And our mission is this, and you can highlight your mission in a single sentence. This thank you page, this call to action isn't about your mission, but you can let people know what it is. Just kind of plant that seed, give them a little foreshadowing of who you are. And now you can invite them. So now hundreds of people can access this ebook to do X, Y, and Z. These are the same bullet points that you would have had on your landing page. Here's how this book will help people. But in order to reach these people, they have to hear about it first. We need support to help us share it. Would you consider donating? So the ask here is not, will you support our mission, but will you pay it forward and help us reach this resource into more people's hands? If you're excited about this resource, if you think it's going to help you, would you help us help other people in the same way? And you will get some donors from this. You won't get maybe a lot of donors from this, but you'll get some first-time donors. And this is just an example to show how you can take someone who's never heard of you today and take them through the natural steps to start understanding why they should support you, why they should support this initiative, and take that first step of getting to know you, of supporting your organization. So once you've offered your resource and thanked people, you can welcome them. And the welcome is, again, this email piece that's so key to building a relationship with them. And it goes without saying, the first thing they should get from you immediately, automated in your email software, is a link to the resource, or the resource itself, if it's an email, whatever format you've put together. And then I want to go through what a welcome series can look like. You've probably talked or heard about email welcome series before. I like to just go through a format that I know works well, but this isn't the be all end all. But this is a great way to start to engaging these new subscribers at scale and taking them through those natural steps. So the first email, you're delivering the resource and you're building trust, and you're giving them expectations of what to expect. What are you going to send them over the next few days? And what should they expect from your emails as a whole? The second email, you can introduce yourself. And I recommend not just introducing your organization. I actually recommend whoever's name is in your email marketing as the sender, whoever receives those emails in their inbox, who replies to those emails, they should introduce themselves. They should say, here's how I'm connected to this organization. Here's how I got started. Here's my story. Here's a little bit about me. And invite them to share a little bit about themselves. You're not going to get inundated with replies. And if you do, that's a good problem to have. That means your people are very engaged. And if you're getting a lot of replies to this email or to other emails, and you can't handle them all, bring in some more people from your team. You want people to reply. That means they're very likely to become donors or be really engaged in your mission. So the goal here is, again, to build that connection. And one thing I would say with regards to email welcome series before I continue is just, you want to use a ratio of 4-to-1, where 4 of your emails out of 5 are adding value, are serving, are encouraging, or inspiring, and only 1 out of 5 is asking. You can kind of play with that ratio. It doesn't have to be exact. And you're looking at the picture of a whole of the emails that you're sending over the course of a year or in a specific series. So it doesn't need to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 ask. It can be, you could have most of the year you're doing nurturing emails, and at the end of the year, you're doing more asks. That's fine. The goal is just that your subscribers like opening your emails. They like what they're getting from you. And your welcome series, I'm going to give an example of 6 days of emails, 1 email per day, but that is, again, can be flexible based on your needs. So after you've introduced yourself in that second email, you can, in the third email, share some more content with them around that problem or question that you solved in the resource. And you don't need to create anything new here. You could curate something, link to an article of someone else, link to a video on YouTube that addresses the same questions. Just say, we thought this might help you. We thought this was really great. Some tips here that you thought would help you. So just, you're reinforcing the trust, the connection, and we're here for you. Don't make this email too hard on yourself. Like, find something that you think is a helpful resource in the lines of the same topic and share that. In the fourth email, ask them for a question. Ask them a question or ask them for a reply. So when it comes to being a pet owner, what is the biggest issue that you face right now, or that you kind of, that's recurring frustration, whatever it might be, whatever your organization's question might be? Just ask a question and see if you can get someone to reply. Even if they don't, let them know, like, here, we respond. We read this, we read every email that comes in and we respond. So let them know, hey, there's a real person on the other end of this. Like, yes, this is a marketing email. Yes, it's automated, but this is a real person, and we want to engage with you. And in the fifth email is a great opportunity to tell your story. And the key here is connect how you served them with the story, and make a natural connection or segue from the way you serve them to this story and how you fulfill your mission. Help them see, like, okay, I had a small taste of what they're doing on a big scale through their mission, and this is a great story. And you want to now is your chance to help them see what your mission is all about and inspire them. And then in your last email, you can give them a call to action, a next step. So would you donate to this program, or would you join our next fundraising event, or would you volunteer, or whatever, or share this resource with other people? Whatever the call to action you want to ask, and this is a good time to do it at the end of this series. So the last of the steps in this process to get your donor in front of many people is to start promoting it. This is step 4. Basically, you just, if you want to start growing your audience, you need to get it out there. And there's a lot of strategies out there to promote. I'm not going to even go through all of them, but I'm going to talk about just one strategy today that fits very well with having things set up so that they don't create a lot of ongoing effort from you. And that is the Google Ad Grant program. I put Microsoft in this slide too, because Microsoft does also offer a search ad grant on their platform Bing, but it's currently not accepting new applicants because it's a new program. But Google is, and you can see what a search ad looks like. Right here, I put in cat adoption, and the first result is an ad of a nonprofit. Google provides $10,000 per month in free ads for 501c3s. They've been doing this program for a long time, more than 10 years. I think it's back in before 2010. And most nonprofits have trouble making use of this $10,000, this in-kind grant. They start with keywords like, well, donate to charity, or make a donation, or Giving Tuesday, and they're competing against huge nonprofits with large budgets of paid ads who are targeting those generic keywords, and the grant just isn't going to compete. So instead, if you can target people, your potential donors, who are searching for a very specific topic that's not related to directly making a donation, then people are going to, the topic is relevant for them. They're searching, they're the one who have the demand, and they're coming to your site, they're joining your email list, and now you can start, again, that whole process of building a relationship with them. I'm going to share some possible stats that you might be able to see. Please take these with a grain of salt, but I just want to give an idea of what the grant is capable of for people who haven't used it, haven't seen its potential. So if you're targeting, see the small little city on the left, icon, if you're targeting a small region, maybe a population of 100 or 200,000 in your city or large or extended area, you might have $1,000 of the grant spent every month. You might be able to spend about that much, maybe more. You might have about 250 new visitors to your site, maybe up to 1,500. And then you might have and see between 10 to 80 new subscribers every month. If you're targeting a larger region, if you're able to, if your donors can come from a far further afield, maybe you're targeting a large state or a city with a population of at least 1 million, then you might easily spend 4,000 of the grant, up to 10,000. You could have 500 new visitors to your site, up to a couple thousand, and between 30 and 150 new subscribers. And then finally, if you're targeting all of the US or all of Canada or multiple large geographic regions, you should be able to spend that $10,000 grant. You should be able to get 750 or several thousand easily clicks or visitors to your site, and then between 50 and up to 300, sometimes more occasionally, new subscribers every month. And so that's just a breakdown of what the Google Ad Grant can look like. And the cool thing about creating a resource to attract new donors is that you can also use it to serve and retain current donors. You can accomplish both with the same action. You send the resource to your current donors and just say, we wanted to create this to inspire and serve you and thank you for being partners with us in this mission, and give you a little taste of our mission. So I want to encourage you again, you can grab our free ebook on our homepage, How to Use Digital Marketing to Find New Donors. It will take you through this process step by step. It will help you implement it with your team, everything from ideation, market research, to creating the resource, creating your landing page, creating your thank you page, creating your welcome series. And if you're curious about whether Google Ad Grants is a good program for your organization, we also have a quiz on our website that you can download or that you can take and see if it's a good program for your organization. And so I want to open it up to Q&A. And I also want to just say, if this sounds like really interesting to you, but you just cannot think, if you know, some people might have more general questions that maybe I could go over something more clearly. But if you're like thinking, well, how do I apply this to my organization? Then I'd be happy to try to answer that here together live and give you one idea or two ideas that you could start brainstorming on. So yeah, let's open it up to Q&A, and I thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was very informative, particularly for somebody who is really not in the world of marketing and Google Ad Grants and all that. So it's going to be really interesting to take a look through your slide deck once we're wrapped up and really look into what you're digging into here. So I have invited folks to add their questions to the chat. We have a couple that came in through before the presentation, and we had one that just came into the chat box. So we'll start with that one. This one came from Madison, and the question is, do subscribers have to agree to receive emails?
Yes. When they, on your form, you should say, give us your name, email, we'll send this to you. You may unsubscribe anytime. And again, in that first email, when you deliver that resource to them, let them know we're going to keep sending you emails, and here's what we're going to send you. And again, we want to serve you and give you some value, and you can unsubscribe.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. So we had a few. So as you think of your questions and type them in, we'll take some questions that came in through the Q&A section of the registration. So first question, Chris, is how much ongoing effort does this strategy take?
Again, like the main thing that's ongoing, there's two ongoing things. One is somewhat optional. So the main thing is, if you're promoting it through like a Google Ad Grant, you need to maintain that ad campaign. So whether you do that yourself or you outsource it, that's something we're doing for organizations to help them there. But organizations can do that themselves. And if they get something that's working really, really well, you might not have to maintain it all the time. It will slip in its results. And the other thing that's somewhat optional is kind of optimizing it. So if your resource is working decently well, maybe you're getting a couple dozen people subscribing every month, like 20, 30, 40 people, and you're like, how do I get it to 80? How do I get to 100? Well, there might be some things you could do to optimize it. So we've worked on that kind of thing before. Like we had a quiz for an organization, and it was like, okay, we're getting 100 people come to this quiz every month, but we're only getting like 30 completes. Like, why is that the case? What can we do and analyze and fix and update and optimize to get more people to actually complete taking that quiz? So those are the kinds of things that can require some ongoing effort. But if you find something that works, and that totally happens on your first try because you've done that market research, you don't have to, it can be very much hands-off.
Excellent. Thank you. Another question we have is, how often should we send emails after the initial welcome series?
Well, that's interesting because we often think, well, we shouldn't inundate people with emails. And definitely I agree with that. We don't want to, spam people and fill their inbox. And so, I would say, first of all, whatever cadence works well for your team, once a month is maybe a little, like, I would say that's the minimum. Once a week is better. But you think about the really big brands and how they sometimes will send an email every few days. And the fact of the matter is, if someone likes to hear from you, they don't care if you email them every day. They might not open all your emails. They might delete a lot of them, but they don't care because they like to hear from you, and they'll open ones that with the subject line really gets their attention, or they got some more time. And so these big brands hold people's attention because they send a lot of emails and they send people things that people want. So if you're keeping those two things in mind, then your subscribers like to open your emails, then it doesn't matter if you're sending them more often. Just serve people in your emails and they'll like opening them, and you'll have more of their, you'll stay top of mind.
Great, thank you, Chris. And we had another question come into the chat box from Cheyenne asking, do you suggest having multiple resources available on our website based on the different demographics of new patrons we're trying to reach, such as different generations, etc.?
Yes, absolutely. The organizations that are most successful, the ones that I'm seeing, like they're getting 300 new subscribers a month, they have several different resources. And so they're able to reach different audiences, what the different questions that people are asking. They have a different format. They have an ebook here. They have a quiz here. But you don't have to think you need to, you don't have to do all that. Just start with something small. And then if you can, like, start with the one that you think is going to have the most results and be the most helpful, and then build the next one out in the future.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions in the list here. Let's see, it looks like we have another one from Debbie. And everyone, don't forget, if you have questions, we've got a little over 10 minutes left, so we have plenty of time for questions. So go ahead and drop those in the chat box and we'll take them as they come in. So Debbie is asking, is using Constant Contact, MailChimp, or Salesforce helpful? And Christine followed up with iContact, if that's one of the helpful.
I am not familiar with iContact. Salesforce isn't they might have modules for sending emails, but it's not built for email marketing. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure it can do that if you get some outside modules, but HubSpot is great. HubSpot's very good if you can afford it. I do not like Constant Contact. I know maybe like some people love it. Personally, it is not modern, and it doesn't do the automation that's needed. It's very, very limited, and the amount of new development that happens on it to update it is very slow. MailChimp's kind of acceptable. It works. You can work with it, and there are better platforms out there. But HubSpot's a good one. ConvertKit is another great one. I wish I was familiar with iContact. But yeah, I think the important thing is making automation easy for you so that you don't have to continually write every email every time you want to send one, but you can have stuff set in place so that stuff goes out automatically.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. So I have another couple of questions on the list. What should our emails contain also after the welcome series? Yeah,
I mean, stuff like a lot of stuff that you already are sending, your newsletters, updates. But I think the other thing is you have stuff that is time sensitive, like we have this event, this update with our organization, this change, the news, and then you have stuff that is always relevant, that you can keep, basically that's evergreen. And so one thing I recommend considering is all of your subscribers, put them into a sequence where you have evergreen content only. So the resources or curated content or ideas related to solving that problem, or stories of your mission, fulfilling your mission, anything that, again, you can have in place, and it will be always something you could tell or talk about, no matter when someone subscribes. So if they subscribed a year ago, or if they subscribe in a year from now, if they get those emails, it's still relevant and helpful information. And if you put those emails into a sequence and just every time you write a new one, add a new one to the end of that sequence, then at some point you'll have 20 emails in that sequence. And if I sign up, and maybe they go out once a week. And so if I sign up for your email list tomorrow, well, I'm going to hear from you once a week for the next 20 weeks on that evergreen content. And you don't have to do, as an organization, don't have to do anything to send a new broadcast email to that person for them to say, for you to stay top of mind for those people, because they're going to be continually hearing from you. And then when you do have news, a broadcast, an event, then you send that, kind of as you plan, scheduled based on the timeliness.
Excellent, thank you. So we're on our last question. If you have any last questions for Chris, drop those in the chat box. Otherwise, this will be our last question for today. The question is, do we ever need to create new digital resources?
Oh yeah, and that was kind of answered before, like you don't need to, but it can be really valuable. You can test something else out to see if it works better, or if you can capture a new segment of people. You can see if a different format works better or helps you, just increase the results. And I mean, what the other thing you're measuring isn't just like how many new subscribers we're getting, but like, do these subscribers actually become donors? And so you might find that this particular topic appeals to this particular demographic, maybe young people really well, and you're getting a lot of people who are following you, but they're not becoming donors. And then you have this other resource that doesn't get a lot of people, but then the people who do get it are really engaged, or they're actually donating to you pretty quickly. And so you might find like, okay, we're trying something that isn't making as many numerical impact in terms of increasing our subscribers, but maybe actually we're getting more donors from it. So that's a good reason, just for the purpose of testing and for just reaching more people, adding new content over time.
All right, well, thank you so much, Chris. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share with the group before we wrap it up a bit early?
If you have any questions, I will drop in the chat our email, team@yourbeeline.com. Feel free to reach out. One thing I find that a lot of people will be questioning is like, well, how does this apply to organization? I don't see like, we preserve this piece of land here. We're land sanctuary protection. Like, how do we create a resource to help people? Or we're a museum. Like, what do we do? Just there's a lot of sectors that can feel like, I don't know how to, what do we do to create something that people are looking for? And so if you need some ideas, I'm happy to discuss that with you over email and get some ideas flowing. So.
All right, thank you, Chris. A big thank you to Chris Barlow for sharing this incredibly informative and thoughtful presentation. Thank you to everyone that joined us today. We'll be sharing the recording and the slide deck in the next few days. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and keep your eyes out for upcoming webinars. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.